And then, Ron, for the minutes is actually the August minutes. I made a typo and it says July on the agenda, but it's actually August.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. We are going to convene the Charter and Code Review Committee meeting for October 24th, 2025. If you're able, please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. Roll call of attendees today. Councilperson De Silva.
Present.
Councilman Presley.
Here.
Assistant Town Manager Ashley.
Present?
And Millsboro Police Department, Lieutenant Moyer.
Present.
And Ron O'Neill is present. First of all, I need a motion to adopt the agenda as you see before you.
I make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt the agenda for today's meeting. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion so carried. Also need a motion to approve the committee minutes from August 2025.
I make a motion, we approve the committee minutes from meeting August 2025.
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Thank you. Any public comments today? Matt? No public comments. All right, we'll move right into the agenda. First on the agenda is review the town code regarding building permits, temporary signs, and conditional use. And I believe this actually spawned from conversation we had last time.
This was brought from the building department. And this was right now when there's a temporary sign that has to go up, just an example, like coming soon, BB Medical Center, Tidal Health, they have to get a conditional use. And then Mark just wanted to give what the building department's suggestion is regarding, instead of making them get a conditional use, what the desire is to do.
There you go, Mark. Thank you.
So basically, the town code for construction signs, it just requires a building permit, and you can keep it up for the amount of time that the construction is being performed. So I was just making that recommendation instead of going through the whole condition. What's the point of going through a conditional use when it's already in the construction signs are already they're already in the town code and there's already a process for how they go about doing those.
Makes no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
So
For
we
that
can
one.
bring back to the next committee meeting. We'll have Mary draft an agenda to just clarify the language, or is it already
I mean,
clear
the
in there?
language is already in
Okay.
there. It has construction signs. It says what they need to do to put one up, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why don't
it's
we just
basically
make-
just a building permit, that's all.
Perfect.
Why don't we just bring it to the council to vote?
Mhm.
Well, I think Mark was saying the language is already in there, pretty
It's
clear
already
to,
in-
yeah.
It is.
Construction signs, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not really a need to do the whole conditional use process for the temporary sign,
Also just omit.
So just continue,
or just,
stop doing the practice as it's been done and do what the code actually does permit.
Does say.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was easy enough. Thank you. Very good. All right, bullet number 2, discuss business licenses for such as pop-up businesses.
This one stemmed from Mary De Silva's request at the downtown committee meeting, I believe it was last month, regarding possibly having vendors pop up in Cupelo Park during the concerts in the park.
Okay.
And just the desire of the committee to allow or not allow multiple vendors to come in to do that, just to kind of see the desire moving forward.
Would we be talking about just one event or all town events? Like we allow pop up at the Christmas parade?
I mean, do you think it would be beneficial? I think it's a great way to bring business in and to bring people into the town. You know, you want to get more foot traffic and you want to get more excitement in the community. And Ashley actually brought up a great idea. We could tell the restaurants that you know, whatever we're planning, and maybe they'd have an appropriate meal or a meal to go or something to give them a way to compete if you have concerns about the food trucks. But I think it's a great option. Whenever I see events, they don't just have one singular, they have multiple aspects about it, you know?
So what's the suggestion if we have an event sponsored by the town, then no permits will be required?
I don't-
Mary's item, I'm not sure.
I don't know if you need to have a special permit or do you need a permit?
I mean, if-
Feel?
Right now, you
We
do.
currently-
Yeah.
We do
Required
have a
to have it.
special event permit
Yeah.
process in our,
Yeah.
you know, existing, so if you wanted to make a change, we would have to get a recommendation to go to council to make a change.
This would be in addition to, because if it's our own event, we wouldn't fill out our own event
Correct.
permit. We've like, if it's someone else coming in, they would still follow the same protocol, but for our own event, we would have to make some amendment to how we bring individuals in and what their requirements would be to, at our event.
Sure, we had a hot dog
Yeah.
vendor and he had to get a permit in order to be at our trunk for treat event.
But if we're sponsoring the parade or we're sponsoring the concerts in the park, we don't need to get a permit, but the vendors would have to just go through the appropriate, still the process that we have currently. Like
Yeah, I mean-
opening it up to vendors is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to make changes, that just need to suggest an idea of what we would like it to look like, or find another municipality that has such a thing, or some example, or some firm details, I think probably.
Do you want me to poll the other communities?
So you're saying for a Millsboro sponsored
Mhm.
event,
Correct.
they
Concerts in the
would,
park.
they would or would not still have to get a business license to do that? Or we?
No, they
cover-
they
Mhm.
would, but to invite them to come and to open it up to them, have we ever done that before?
So this item might be, this doesn't sound like it's a code change because we can have them still come to our events and they would still, nothing would change code wise. This might be a better downtown committee
Downtown.
agenda
Sounds
item.
like a
Yeah.
event thing, you know, if we want to look at before next year's concerts, maybe how we're gonna roll it out and what we want it to look like, and
For the downtown.
So maybe the downtown.
I don't think it's a
Yeah.
clean change.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
speak, unless we were
Okay.
requiring a different license. We do have a temporary 1-day license now, so you know, the ability is there.
I thought since we've never had it, but downtown committee, I think is a better.
so are you, gets a little confused. Are you thinking that the events, it would just only be town sponsored events, Christmas parade, fireworks, the concerts in the park? So you're saying that the event itself would preclude them from having to get a license because it's a town sponsored event? Or you're saying they do have to still get the special?
No, they do have to, but I don't know if we've ever opened it up in the past.
Oh,
Yeah, because exactly your trunk or treat was where I got the idea from.
Right.
And there are a lot of people who come to the concerts, and I think if you open it up to a venue, but I think it's better served as the downtown committee.
I would think you'd still want them to get a business license because that also
I
goes into
agree.
the effect of them carrying liability insurance and
Yeah,
all the
I
other
agree.
things that go along with that business license.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll get those guys to look. Give it to me. All right, if you want to move on, we'll discuss the possible mandate from the state that has to do with the zoning land use reform. This has been a big topic of conversation. I know, Jamie, you guys have had.
Yeah,
That's
no, I mean, it is items that have been made, signed into law by the governor. He created an affordable housing task force. They published a report. They've got zoning changes that are gonna become required. They've created a pilot program for towns to participate, and they provide engineering and civil engineering assistance to figure out how we can come in compliance with that. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have or.
Gosh, I'm old enough of a certain age. And Ron, I'm sure you'll remember this, back in the 50s and the 60s. There was a big idea of having public housing. So all across the country, we built these housing projects that held families at a very reduced rate. After about 10 years of lawsuits for racial discrimination, the next thing was they took bombs and blew them up and tore them down. So there's very few public housing complexes left in the country. And in the mid-70s, they come out with something called Section 8 that was designed to replace the public housing. And if you read, in my opinion, if you read through this study and read it very carefully, if you took the absolute worst of public housing and married it with Section 8 housing, and then added about 30 other bad things, that's what you got in there. And from a town's perspective, if you read through it, on all the things they're going to restrict the towns from doing, I don't know if it makes much sense to stay incorporated. I mean, if all this goes through word for word what they're proposing, it takes all of our authority away.
It's a major threat to home rule is what they call it. And that's where the Delaware League of Local Governments, Sussex County Association of Towns, City Managers Association of Delaware, Sussex County Economic, Action Committee are all against that because it threatens home rule. Each town should have unique zoning that reflects the needs and the situation environment of the town. But there are members of our legislative representatives understand what you're saying and support your viewpoint, but they are not in the majority caucus. So
no, and my point was to bring it up and have us talk about it is, and I'm hoping we could get, it seems like we should probably get Gerald Hocker in here because he was actually on the task force to get his perspective. But is there anything we can do or any other municipalities do to raise the red flag on this or bring attention to it and, the last ditch effort to try to stop it or have some effect to moderate it in some fashion?
So we talked about this at the City Managers Association meeting earlier this week, and what other municipalities are doing is becoming part of the pilot program so that they can have a voice at the table through the assistance. They're giving you aid and civil engineering assistance to kind of make it fit your code. That was one angle. But when the mandate comes down and the date comes, and if we're not in compliance, then there'll be challenges there. So it really just depends on, it may be something that we need to talk about in an executive session. We'd have to get approval for that to talk about strategy, but there hasn't been a legal threat yet. So it hasn't risen to that level.
No, I'm not talking about legally speaking about suing them already because obviously there's no harm been done yet.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about some type of public relations campaign, all hands on deck, radio stations, newspaper articles, you go into the town manager's things and presenting the point of view on it to do our best to try to stop it or at least have a seat at the table.
We've been going for the last 3 years. Senator Huxtable has brought up the accessory dwelling legislation several times. One of the compromises, so to speak, was the state giving us this a la carte list of items that we should incorporate into our zoning code versus the state mandating what we have to do. So that's where we are right now. So I think what it just comes down to is there's just majority support in the legislative hall for it. So if we can think of a way, I mean, I'll be happy to continue the charge, but it's already happening through Delaware League of Local Governments. I don't.
Yeah, Petty John has been very vocal in opposition against it as well. And I was just thinking, what are your thoughts on maybe having a public workshop, Hocker, kind of like when the Del Dot came in with, was it Collins that put that on, I think? If we did a workshop and have Hocker and Petty John come in and just kind of do an educational session of it from a legislative standpoint to educate not only everybody in this room, but the public as well, announce it as a public, and then you really get the public involvement. And if they're going to like Hall when all of this, and they're really seeing how many homeowners and businesses are against it as well, not just the officials in the municipalities that might speak louder as well. And it's just a thought, we could maybe set up a workshop in the next month or so.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
agree with that.
It would have been more effective before the governor signed some of this into law, when we were all up at Legislative Hall last year, kind of rallying against it. But people didn't really know what was going to come out
Yeah,
of committee till
absolutely.
April.
Yeah.
So
Maybe we can get a repeal bill drafted.
And unfortunately, if you read this and if you look at it and you try to understand what they're saying, this is aimed at the corridor of 113.
Mhm.
It's not, you're not going to build affordable housing in Lewis and Bethany and Dewey
Mhm.
Beach. It's from Shelbyville to Milford.
Mhm.
They're primarily singling out Sussex County, and they're primarily singling out an area that would be a close drive to the beach for the workers. So primarily, this is going to affect us.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're just a small smidgen of the population, but I think we need to make our voice heard as much as we can. 5 years ago, we probably all sat around and laughed that they're going to pass an EV mandate where everybody in the state had to drive an EV. That passed. We never thought they would try to make us open marijuana stores in Millsboro. That's probably just months down the road.
Mhm.
Who would have thought they would have overridden Sussex County about, the power line coming in the Indian River.
Mhm.
So to me, they spent all this money already, and
it's all home rule. I mean, it all falls in the same category. We had the same complaints at all the groups that I mentioned earlier with the legislature overriding land use decision by Sussex County, because they're just another municipality. There's just a different philosophy in Dover than there was before. And you're right. And nobody really thought it would, come to this point, but now it's signed into law and we could talk about our strategy. What if we don't comply? What happens next?
Just out of curiosity, based on their measures, are there any towns in favor of this or
Sure.
in support of it?
Yeah, more upstate.
Mhm.
So, okay, my question was more pertaining to the Sussex County. Are there any towns in?
Well, Sussex and Kent I mean, there are some municipalities that support this. They already have, Newark's already put some of this in place
Yeah.
ahead of it.
Georgetown is
Georgetown.
volunteered for the study.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're gonna be part of but their main concern in Georgetown is every home there, if we're forcing accessory dwelling units, that then all of those, those, what are they called? Oxford houses, which are treatment homes for people that are
Okay.
recovering. Every one of those Oxford homes that has a garage, now you have another garage that will be converted and, by right to another dwelling, then can have more Oxford homes on the parcel. So yeah, that's where their concern is. I think one thing about Millsboro, because we have a lot of items in the pipeline, the thing that's going to affect us the most is the accessory dwelling unit, because then we were talking about this earlier with Mark. Does that waive all of our setbacks? Because if you have to mandate that an accessory dwelling is required, in Plantation Lakes, your neighbor has the right now to put a second home on their lot. It could be in a drainage. Remember that we had the conversation about utility easements with the drainage and the paver patios, paver walkways. Well, that probably could nullify all of that. How does that affect Sussex Conservation District and drainage and those sort of things? So I think it also kind of looks, when you look at the paid family leave, it all kind of goes into, there's some great ideas, but implementation and long-term ripple effects of it.
There's so many
Yeah.
little things in here
Yes.
that affects every single step. I mean, like you just talked about the Sussex Conservation. Well, this does away with that. They can get
Mhm.
third-party approval. They don't need Sussex Conservation anymore. If a house burned down in Plantation Lakes, this allows them to put a mobile home in there on that lot. They don't have to pay the 4% transfer tax. They just pay 1% transfer tax. Our ordinances and zoning regulations would basically mean
Out the
nothing.
window.
To them.
Our,
That's right.
our 10-year comprehensive plan, if we pay $100,000 for, that's out the window. I mean, it affects everything that the town does,
Mhm.
in my opinion. Pretty ugly. So I think if we could set that up, I think, our representative, but particularly Gerald could be there because he was on the task force and he has probably more about it than anybody.
Mhm.
Okay.
If you could get in there.
Yeah, I think we should probably ask them before we even set up what can we do?
Yeah.
You know, let's have a goal before we have a workshop of, at this point, maybe from his legislative aides assistants. I mean, we have lobbyists for CDAC, for SCAT, for Delaware League that are up at legislative hall all the time, keep an eye on these things. We already have a list of items coming up in the next cycle that we're looking out for. So I think really to figure out what can be done at this point in time. There have been things that have been challenged and overturned, but you know, let's get a goal, and then we can get the public to, you know, if they support, you know, what that goal is, then come out and would you want Senator Huxtable to be a part of this conversation, or just keep it to our local representatives?
I think we know where he stands.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think we'll just be wasting our time.
Got it.
And it's, you know, as far as, in my opinion, as far as volunteering for this, you know, phase one or working with them on this, I don't think we should do that.
We discussed it, the mayor and I, Ashley, were you part of that
Yeah.
call too? Yeah. They did an
No,
informational
not
phone
that
call.
call, just internal, not
Okay.
that I was.
So Bob and I were
COVID.
on a phone call with this group to talk about it. And one of the things that was required was to do a resolution. You would have to pass a resolution. Rehoboth's done that. Georgetown's done that, to say basically that you're being part of the pilot program to help support the efforts. So they're going to get council to pass an ordinance, and the mayor didn't feel comfortable even going to that step at this point. So
That's good.
I don't know, I my gut tells me that the, if you read people in Sussex County, I don't know about new council, but if you read people's thoughts in Sussex County, you already think there's too much development here. We don't need to pigeonhole, you know, 30 units on an acre of land, and just cause more congestion and more strain on our infrastructure.
Mhm.
I think the more that we can get the message out there, I think the more people would be upset about it and would participate in it.
And even our resources like water, sewer, policing, like, do we even have the resources to serve that large of a change so fast?
And if you look at their own numbers in the study, my opinion is pie in the sky. You know, they want to limit it to 80% of average median income for rentals and 120% for buying a house. We've got a figures in here what it costs to construct a 2,000 square foot house in Sussex County right now. It's nowhere near it. I mean, you take their numbers, you might be able to build a 550 square foot house, and that's, you know, what they're looking at.
So would it be worth reaching out to Senator Hopker to see what is there that we could do?
yeah, at this point, what can we do?
Yeah.
Other than, you know, well, you don't want to say, I mean, we're all recorded that we intend to not comply, and then what's going to happen. So I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
It also, you know, we saw that with the paid family medical leave. You know, they've had to kind of go back and delay, you know, implementation and certain things just because the message didn't get out that well. Same things happened with some other programs that they've rolled out. Unfunded mandates.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I'd be happy to reach out. I'll take the lead on it. I'll reach out to Hawker, Petty John, and Collins. Rich and I have talked about this. I mean, I know where he stands on it. I know where the other two do as well, but
Yeah.
I think really ask the question, what next? What can we do? Because you know, it's not like the governor is gonna, you know, override it. He supports it. So
Well, I would be surprised if 5% of the state knows about this. You know, and that you're reading the local stuff every day or following the legislature. 5% of Hillsborough don't know about this.
No, at all.
all right, well, I will reach out. I'll send him an email today.
Thank you.
Do you mind copying me on it just in case he responds at the conference?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be monitoring my
Okay.
emails from the conference. I have.
Very good. Thank you. Next on the agenda, potential code amendments to facilitate storefront renovation to standardized aesthetics, possible upgrade via grants.
And this one, I apologize, when I printed the copies, I neglected to put stamps of a page number on the bottom, but it is about halfway through your packet. It says aesthetic regulations is what other municipalities currently are doing to have a downtown
There it is.
aesthetic. Some of them have overlays. Some of them have facade and building design standards added into their code, streetscape and design guidelines. And then,
I wasn't here at the end, the beginning of the meeting. Did we ask for public comment?
yeah,
Yes.
and then following that, in chapter 210 of our zoning code, or 210 is our zoning code, 21021 of our zoning code, we have the planned commercial district. That section of our code does have aesthetics added into it. However, if you go just past that, when I was looking at our zoning map, where is it? It's the color one here. If you look at our current zoning map right here, there's no current planned commercial district, but our future land use map does have it, and it's at the north end of town. So I don't know if you want to look at what's in the future map, in 21021, but that was just a thought to kind of see what is in our code that we don't have any area in town currently zoned to potentially maybe add that in. And when we were talking yesterday, Mark had mentioned maybe look at for the downtown for any like major renovations, having it changed to that, not forcing those who are currently in town to do anything, but as there's like a renovation or a sale of a property or something like that, to have that possibly be the trigger of when that aesthetic change to comply with the code would have to come into effect. Did I get that right, Mark? Your thoughts? Okay. And then just beyond that, I pulled the actual language from the code from Frederica and Newark of their downtown and what they require aesthetically speaking.
Is that the architectural design standards ones, the one you got from Frederica?
Yes, yeah. And Newark. And in section, it's J of 21021J, that's where it shows the architectural design that's going to be required in that planned commercial district once that, if that is established, but that's an area of town that's not currently annexed in.
What exactly would the planned commercial development do that, say, for example, highway commercial wouldn't do?
You will speak to that, Mark? No.
What are the advantages of it?
I don't know, great question.
Okay. We can find out. I can find out from Amy and then bring that back to have a more detailed, maybe if you want, we can ask her to zoom into the next one if we want to.
Is she suggesting we should consider it?
But this was what came from the last meeting. The committee wanted to look at possibly having aesthetic upgrades to downtown. So this was just kind of how this agenda item stemmed, and
Okay.
I just pulled what other towns
Oh,
have
okay.
done and. You just wanted to know what is the planned commercial district versus our current highway? What's the difference in them? Okay.
If we're specifically talking about downtown, should just go through them first and then back to us on their suggestions, or?
Through the
Sure.
downtown.
And then we have the, we were talking at the downtown committee today as well. The 5-year comp plan review is due to the state in February, and there are going to be some surveys going out to downtown business owners. We can maybe see what we get back from that
Mhm.
questionnaire and guide this based on the answers that we get back from downtown, maybe.
So you're saying that questionnaire would include what the businesses are looking for or a suggestion from the businesses or?
We can put a section in where it can be open-ended and we can just ask them what their aesthetic vision is for the downtown, or word it some different way that we can kind of get feedback from them if they like it as is, if they, want more modern, if they want, any specific aesthetic qualities added to any of the buildings downtown or any. My feelings aren't hurt if you say no, though. It's just a thought.
No, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
I'm not sure what kind of feedback you
we
get
get
from
from that. Maybe that could be something we ask the chamber to do, separate from the comp plan. We could have them do whole, not from a town level, but from a chamber level for aesthetically speaking.
I think what Kim had mentioned in the previous meeting is they'd only have like 2 or 3. I guess they could do the
Restaurant.
consumer-
Yeah,
They could do the consumer
Yeah.
study, I guess.
but most of their businesses are not even.
They said they only
not
have
even in town.
three members
Yeah.
that are downtown, so, yeah.
I'll go walk door to door and hand out a flyer.
I mean, do we have anybody downtown right now that is kind of out of code or it just really doesn't?
Not
apply
out
at
of
this point?
code, but
Not at the park.
Not
we're
up to
we're
par.
live streaming.
Okay, gotcha. That could use some work. Okay.
A little TLC.
The police department, it's probably 5 or 6 years ago, we created a survey that we used as part of our community policing, and we divided the town up into sectors, and we had officers assigned to each sector, and they went into every business within that sector and verbally met with the owner and filled out the survey in regards to what they want to see the police department do and so. So downtown, that's a lot smaller. It shouldn't take that long, and we could all split up the.
And we were talking about, you and I worked, kind of, now that there has been a
I'd be happy
change
to
in
do it, give them
leadership.
an opportunity to meet me. and-
Yeah, we wanted to, Maura and I talked about, getting downtown, Chief Calloway and I had done that a couple of years ago, and I was trying to get it done this summer. Just, introducing yourself to the business. I mean, it's part of economic development, not just bringing in new business, but being supportive of the existing
have.
business. And one of the things that we provide water, sewer, and streets, but an important part of economic development is security. And we do have the safety here. If you don't have safe streets, nobody's going to invest in your town. So we're looking to do that in the near future. And I
Probably
think,
not next week, but the week after.
yeah,
Maybe adding John Tessitore as code enforcement into that as well, just so he can kind of have a good rapport as first meeting with individuals. So that way if he ever has to come for a not so pleasant experience, he's meeting each of the business owners downtown.
If we get a survey together, I'd be more than happy to kind of incorporate that into our conversations. Sure.
Like I said, that'd be perfect. The storefront owners would definitely talk to you guys. I mean, I
Yeah.
want to talk.
he's on,
Yeah.
so.
Well,
you know,
give it a
they're
go.
gonna-
You know,
they're studies,
And then
And honestly, I'm glad that was brought up, because I think it would be a good time for the police department to do that whole town-wide survey again, and guys need it, I'm sure.
And you're gonna have your goals meeting and everything
Yeah.
too, and I think out of that meeting, in which you've explained, how you'd like it to go. That helps to, depending on what the goals come out and how
Yeah.
people want to see your department, that helps drive that home. And then they're participating and, spreading that word. So I think it's good.
I think on our own building too, I know I've said it, but I'll say it again, on our own building, the old police department still has bars on the windows. And if you're not from here and there are no police cars parked outside, I would be locking my doors, like kids stay in the car. So I just think if we can take those bars off of the windows, I think that would be, it's the first building you see when you come into town. So it's like, why are this building of police, like bars on the windows and there are no police cars? Is this a sketchy
Yeah.
town? I just think it's not a good
Yeah.
optic when you first come into town.
Perception is everything. Well, shocking about that.
Yeah.
It's actually a good idea, because if you have people, developers who are interested, they're gonna focus on the bars, not knowing if they're not from here, but that.
That's
must
what
be-
Bars didn't
Across
come
from
up
the
with
liquor
the fire whistle did, so.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the fire whistle was a big topic there.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Cause I
Okay.
think the bank still has bars. Do they still have bars in the window?
Yes.
They did.
Do they?
Well,
Daisies.
that's,
Gunshot?
No,
Gunshot
it's a-
does.
it was a bank.
Yeah.
that whole corner, that just looks, that's bad.
I forgot. That's right. Casey's probably just.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
At least it looks like an old bank.
but it does say bank, it does
Right,
say bank,
right.
so
Well, yeah.
Get a sign that says old police department. Yeah,
that could solve the problem of the removal.
we'll do the mural and feature the police of, on the side.
Well, Joyce said last year, she was like, put Santa, or little Santa guy, like put him, and I was like, you're gonna give kids nightmares. Right.
Hmm.
She was joking, just for the record.
Just a suggestion, carry over from our last committee meeting, maybe since you're going to go and take a survey, maybe ask the owners, the business owners, how they feel about the parking situation, if they need 2 hours or not. Could include, kind of.
It'll be an encompassing conversation, I think.
Okay.
An all-inclusive,
Yeah.
you know, you get all the surveys done in one hand.
Okay. So you guys will take care of that for us?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's look at the weather and let's get a date and time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you gonna?
Yeah.
have a survey for me?
I'll put stuff together.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll send it over and then amend it as you want, and then if you want me to make like the final. Again.
All right, number 5, to discuss the possibility of amending the town code to allow food trucks within the municipal limits at all times with the proper permitting and fees.
Mark is back.
Yep.
Mark is back
I'm
there.
representing Debbie
Yeah,
today.
that-
Thank you.
yeah.
So we get lots of calls from food truck vendors all the time asking us what our procedure is, and most of the time we tell them it has to be tied to a special event for them to come in here,
Mhm.
and we get a lot. I had to shut one down one time when I was still doing code enforcement, and that didn't go so well for me online. So, but we're trying to figure out what other towns did. So Debbie went ahead and did a lot of legwork. She contacted Bridgeville, Delmar, Georgetown, Laurel, Milford, Millville, Milton, Rehoboth Beach, and Seaford. And all those towns except for Rehoboth Beach allow the food trucks. So basically what they have to do is they get permission from the property owner. They have to submit their health service or Department of Health,
Mhm.
whatever, the social service license. Their state business license, and then they would have to get our business license to do that. With that said, we were looking at places where maybe we could limit to where the locations are, so just keep them in the highway commercial area. Unless where they're also allowed on any town property, but that would be above my head decision. And the other part of it is how much do we charge them for a license? So Debbie had the idea of charging higher than $50 just because they're not brick and mortar and they don't pay into the city with like taxes and sewer and stuff. So she had a license fee of $175 to $200 a year is what she was proposing. So
Do
We're-
the other
we're-
towns have different licensure for, I mean, like fees for or is it the same business license or do they have a specific? one?
let's see. Bridgeville, they charge $100. I don't know what their business license is, but that's what
Got
they
it.
charge. Delmar is 75, it's for a year. Georgetown's 100 for a year. Laurel, it's called a peddler's license, and that's $50. Milford is $50, but they also require a background check.
Mhm.
Millville is special event only, kind of like us. Milton, they have a 1-day peddler's license at $40, or it's $115 for the year. Rehoboth Beach, like I said, it's not permitted. Seaford, they have, it's yearly. All Seaford has to do is they get a property owner permission letter, and there's no license fee attached to that, so. But that's where they are. I mean,
And they're 365 days a year, all those towns.
Yeah, so one of the things they would have to get the permission letter from the property owner, and then for our own town code, we could stipulate that they have to say what days of the week they're allowed to operate, between what hours they're allowed to operate. That would all come from our town code, could, if we changed it. And also limiting to where they could be like highway commercial properties only.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
Don't forget, we're just gonna charge them $100. And he's got a brother who owns a piece of property on 113. Somebody could set up a food truck there 365 days a year. I
Mhm.
mean, that's doesn't quite seem fair to me.
Right.
Well, that was the reason for that she got the higher licensing fee. That's the reason she suggested the higher licensing fee for that instead of
I mean, to
$50.
do $175, I'm gonna pay a water bill for one of the other businesses.
You're seeing that all over the county though. I mean, other than Rehoboth, like you said, I mean, this is more the norm. You know, than the exception, I would say. Something
Yeah.
she did say that I would be very, very much for would be the background check. I think that's imperative, especially in this day and age. Children coming up, you don't know, there's a lot, so you want to make sure that police department wouldn't be overly responsive to something. So you prevent that by whoever's applying, they're gonna get the background check. And it's on them to pay for it and submit the thing.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
ultimately, it's up to whatever you guys want.
Even if they had the proper insurance papers and all.
no,
that.
it's
But it was a
totally
person.
separate, totally separate. You're gonna have a large contingency of people who perhaps send their youth to get a food or to get something. And I don't necessarily think it's a negative. I think it could be a positive. You know, like I said, I think food trucks should be invited to our events.
Mhm.
You know, when I drive through other towns, I see it, and what I actually see is I see a tremendous amount of people coming out to the events that make it even more populated, if you get what I'm saying. And I drive everywhere, like I went to Wyoming to Vipers to see how, and they had food trucks there. You know, I mean, I'm just using that as an example. I continually burn his ear on Milford, and you know, you see that I don't just look at the beach, I look at, you know, every single town. I think we should, if we're going to be business friendly, this is just my humble opinion, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but we need to be business friendly to everybody. Because those people are small businesses, they're just in a different venue. Just because you own a food truck, maybe that's your thing, rather than not putting up a brick and mortar. That it's not, the affordability is not there yet. And there are people, Revelations is another example, with the success of the food truck that's there, you know. In Rehoboth, there's a Revelations at the other.
Georgetown has one too.
Yeah,
They've got a
so
few.
Georgetown has the brick and mortar, and then there was a Rehoboth food truck in the Revelations food truck in Rehoboth. I know, because my son used to work there. And it never affected any of the business. And there was tremendous business that brought in, and it just enhances people, foot traffic, and it invites more people to come into the town. That's just, I look at everything as a net positive. So I do think that I'd go with the $200 and the background check.
I like the aspect of it.
Mhm.
I'm not agreeing, don't disagree, but I do disagree. Like Marty says, you could put up a food truck out on the highway somewhere, and for $200, you're there for forever. Do you limit that amount of time? Do you say you can only be there for so many hours or so many days or whatever? Or
Yeah,
how
we
do
could do
how
that.
do you?
We could do that in a draft code.
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah, I was gonna say have a certain amount of continuous days, and then
exactly.
it has to restart. I mean, you see that you know, in all kinds of different housing code and things, you know, as far as people, you know, different zoning about having a camper on your property, those sort of things, like parked in front of your, all that, I think
And-
putting a restriction would be, a good
For
way to alleviate-
reevaluation after so many.
or just to restart the clock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's-
Gotta move
that's-
Mhm.
That's, it invites people in and
Yeah.
at the same time, it resets it.
And every year they would have to get a new permission letter from the property owner.
Hmm.
So it reset every license.
Yeah,
year.
every annual, that would be very,
So this is only allowed currently on in the commercial district out on 113.
Well, it's only allowed if they get a
Special
special
event.
event
That's right.
permit, and then the food truck vendor will get their license underneath, like a sub license to that, attached to that special event.
I got
So they can't just set up somewhere now and do things, and I think it's important, like we're talking about visuals before, we have the Critter Shack that sits out here
Mhm.
all day, and they don't have any kind of license with us, there's a
Mhm.
special event thing.
I didn't want to bring that up, but
They,
that is
they
what
put,
my
they put
thought.
signs up around town, which those aren't allowed either, so it's kind of like,
Well,
Hypocritical.
they have
usually we're not.
on a
looking
parking
to
lot.
look,
Right,
That
right, yeah.
Points to it.
So,
So I mean, you can't be hypocritical, allow one and not the other. That's a little bit.
you guys want Debbie and I to work up some kind of code for this or language, and then we could submit it next time and then have Mary look at it at some point? I mean, where do you want me to go?
Yeah, I think probably we need to give a little bit better direction. I don't think we've given you much direction so far.
Yeah.
I like food trucks. They weren't successful when Plantation Lakes had them for their parties and things, and special events. Again, my only concern, if you take, for example, the guy that runs the barbecue stand at Millsboro Liquors on Handy and 113, he charges him $125 a day every day he's open. So he's still making money. My only concern is them setting up food trucks next to, somebody that's got a brick and mortar establishment that's paying a heck of a lot of money, and allowing them to be there indefinitely, especially, in the summertime, if somebody sets up a food truck on 113 with all that traffic, I mean, they're gonna make a lot of money.
That's an excellent
Mhm.
an excellent concern, so maybe you and Debbie could make it and create something or come up that it has to be removed each evening rather than a permanent.
We roll the truck out every day.
Mhm.
Well, like, if we're talking about the Centerview Shopping Center or whatnot, that property has restaurants on it. But the property owner would have to give him
Give permission.
permission to be there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
any
yeah.
issue that the restaurants would have would be with the property owner and
Yeah.
not with the town. We're
And-
just
And
allowing
like
it.
that parcel, they have a contract with their tenants that they wouldn't allow those sort of
Right.
things. So
Yeah, so I can't think of too many shopping centers that don't have a restaurant in it. That the restaurant couldn't take up issue with the property owner for allowing it.
Yeah, I was thinking about more commercial buildings, hot tub places, someplace like that, could use it as an attraction to bring people in and then walk into their store,
What if we had it where if it wasn't within a certain distance of a food establishment, they would have to have the food establishment that's within that distance. If they were within that distance, sign off of we're fine with it. But if it's outside of that distance, then free for all, go for it.
I would be in favor of it if we would restrict the area in some fashion. Wouldn't want to see them popping up all over town.
Right.
that's why I suggested highway commercial, just because if we are putting a focus, I mean, we just had the downtown, committee meeting. And we're trying to entice people to come in downtown. I just thought that would be better suited out in highway commercial. But every town's different. I mean, Lewis has a lot down by the Dairy Queen where they were, allowing food
Mhm.
trucks. And it's surrounded, there's restaurants all around there.
Maybe
So,
we could do highway commercial with that restriction and then only town-owned properties downtown. And then we have the control of that. Like Kepler Park or the ball field or.
Mhm.
And they're gonna want to set up wherever there's, traffic.
Yep.
So highway, Main Street, areas like that. I'm fine with highway commercial.
I think a highway commercial with some, maybe in the park, and the baseball field, you know.
Probably should reach out to the Little League to make sure that they would be supportive of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was just
But
thinking more stars and
that's why-
stripes, what came to mind when I said that one, just because they do go there for stars
yeah.
and stripes.
But then they get our
Yeah.
permits. And then they, through the chamber, because it's not a town sanctioned event,
Mhm.
that's our code would be that they have to get their permits, and get their either one day or they have their license for the year. So there's a function there already. But if it was outside of a chamber or somebody's special event, so that still falls under a special event. So, yeah, we just have to clarify what we want to allow when it's not special event. It doesn't fall under that umbrella.
I think definitely the background, because if they decide to go to a library or the baseball field or the park, I'm just using. I think we definitely have to put that in the code, whatever we decide on the code.
My preference would be to stick to highway commercial,
Yeah,
and
if
then
we
the
say
other
that
ones
that's
would be
it.
handled with the special event permit.
Special,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then council's involved in, but that's just, I mean, I think to start the process, we probably should create a code that allows it in highway commercial. See how it goes, and you can always amend the code, or change it, that's. And we do public meetings for that, so anybody that it affects, you can come out and talk about it, so.
Would you still want background checks on highway commercial though? I don't really see that as important as being near, like she said, libraries.
Yeah, when I did code enforcement at Georgetown, they did it mainly for the ice cream trucks, because they're
Yeah.
running around all over the place and they're.
If there's an access.
Yeah, I know.
But also departments used to do background checks, like now.
We wouldn't. have
Because
any-
you have to go up to the Dover to SBI to get your background check, so you're just creating another step for these individuals, which I'd like to make it easier for
Yeah, if
everybody.
it's highway commercial and they don't have readily access to young children, I would say that we could forego that.
Yeah,
And are we allowed to differentiate, like one business owner, have to get a background check, but you're coming into town, you don't have to? Would that set us up for any liability that we're picking and choosing who has to?
do we have any
to?
requirements for background checks?
No, Debbie
No.
had said that it wouldn't be anything on us, that they would be mandated to get the background check and then give the results in. And my take of the times that she had spoken at the podium, it seemed very feasible because it's being done in other locations. Am I not correct?
You mean getting the background check?
It's up to the
Was it just
vendor.
Georgetown?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're gonna sort of.
She said Milford requires it.
Milford requires,
Mhm.
Down the road, if you're within
I thought she said
500
two.
feet
What's
of-
the other one?
daycare license.
I don't see Milford on her list here.
and I think as far as highway commercial, we really don't have many entities that would fall into those categories. I think start with highway commercial and then amend it down the road. That's my opinion, but it's up to committee and then council.
Then too, there's that meat truck that comes into town like 2 days per year. There's a seafood truck that comes in 1 or 2 days per year. We would have to apply that. We can't. I mean, I feel like,
Those guys have been doing the whole special.
Special
permit
events,
thing.
right, but
Yeah.
what would prevent us from requiring them to not have a background check, but having another mobile vendor have one?
I wouldn't
Yeah.
really do the background check.
Yeah, that's what my fear is, if we start picking and choosing and we're setting liability.
It should be consistent with
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, you need.
Yeah.
yeah, if there's an issue or there's reports to the police that there's an issue, then we would, we could revoke it at any point in time. Just like a business license.
It's not easy to get a background check these days.
Hey, Jim, you gotta go to Dover, it's a whole thing, you have to,
It's a
do a
third
loop
party,
and all,
that's
like,
the state police
Yeah.
can do it anymore.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Takes time.
So you're saying don't require the background check unless you hear some kind of an issue?
And there's a certain amount of buyer beware. You go into a food truck. It's different if it's the ice cream truck driving up to your house. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's the way we can differentiate. So
Oh,
Believe me, we'll be called if
Yes.
anybody suspects anything.
yeah, that's what I'm
Sure.
saying. That's what we have, and Lieutenant Moyer and his department are.
And if they have a town license permit, we would be reporting that back to Debbie or so. Any contact we have.
Oh, Freeman Stage always has food trucks
Yeah.
down there. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think they're contracted. It's private property, so I think,
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
You see it everywhere.
Yeah, I
You go to
think-
Milton, you go to Lewis, you go to Rehoboth, you go to any.
Well, that's one of the things we were kicking around for our 100th anniversary coming up next year is having food trucks out in the parking lot, but that would fall under a special event
Okay.
situation.
Can we start with a taco truck?
We can, we could do that. I'll put that down.
Well, I really noticed it. I was telling Ashley, I really noticed it this past weekend when I went to Pfeiffer's. I mean,
Yeah.
they're Pfeiffer's is selling their own food and their own thing. And in addition, they had 4 other food trucks,
Yep.
different vendors and, so I think we should. I don't. Just makes the other restaurants come up to par,
So what's our step forward? You guys are gonna
So
work
get,
on some
then
temp
we're
code?
gonna work on some language and
Okay.
requirements, get that all put together, and then we can
Give it to
give it
Mary.
to you guys
Okay,
next time to look over, and then I guess it goes up from there,
okay.
right?
Is there anything specific we want to throw in that code? As far as,
Go along with Jamie, the highway commercial restriction.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Start with a highway commercial and see how that goes, and then we can always add to it. We can expand on it.
And I would encourage, if it does come up to council, anybody in the audience, pay attention to our agendas and sign up for public comment, so that way you can give your feedback. While they're voting, while council's voting on that, because that would be,
Can we give public comments today?
nobody signed up for public comment, correct?
It's up to the chair of the meeting if they
It's
want to
up to the
take.
Chair of the
yeah.
meeting, so.
I don't have any problems with that. If we have some folks that were like,
You just have to come to the microphone.
yeah,
State
just
your-
state your name. Yeah,
State your name and
Yeah.
address.
I don't have any problems with it.
My name is William Berry, and I own the Tipsy Flamingo food truck. And we've done, business in Millsboro before and things like that. So I guess I would maybe try to address a couple things from what I remember, the last few things that you talked about. Background check, I don't think anybody'd have an issue with that. I personally am a retired law enforcement officer. I wouldn't have an issue with requiring the background check. I would have an issue with, unless you're doing it to every other restaurant,
Mhm.
in town, things like that. And I believe that most concerns would be, say, child predator, type things. And pretty certain that they're highly governed already by, the powers that be that, are watching over them, making sure they're not within school districts or libraries, like you said. So very good concern. I just don't think it's as probably prevalent as, that. As far as the issue that you said about somebody parking a food truck out on a piece of property, the moving it is what a lot of us try to avoid. Mine in particular, I have a massive 28-foot trailer. And we're also in the process of buying a restaurant here in the county. And I don't necessarily see a huge difference between food trucks and brick and mortar from that standpoint. If I buy a piece of land out in the county and put my food truck on it, or, within, let's say within your limits where I would require a permit, I don't really see where, because I've purchased a piece of property and I'm paying taxes on that property and I'm paying maintenance on that property and I'm paying insurance on that property, where a food truck should be considered any different than, say, a brick and mortar, because my food truck was very expensive. I can put a brick and mortar for about the same cost on a little chunk of land. It may not be big, but it'd still be considered a brick and mortar. So I don't necessarily think that you have to say no to a food truck sitting on a piece of property. Just license it accordingly. What you're talking about doing. Mr. Burke had an excellent point with the highway. I don't really think you should allow food trucks downtown. And I have a food truck. You don't want food trucks parking in a parking lot and opening up their doors and saying, here you go, because that does affect brick and mortar businesses, things like that. So I think you're spot on, with that. The reason that I'm here in particular, I have a request. We do a lot with Preston Auto Group. which has got to be a big employer of Millsboro, here. They've asked us to put our truck at their new, where they put in the new Ford, the new Lincoln. They're getting ready to build a new Hyundai dealership. They've already got Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, all in the same complex. And they've asked us to put our truck there on a permanent basis where we would serve their employees, people in getting service, people in buying cars, people coming off 113 and going in there and doing it. We've had our truck there before for special events. We've done, events for bakers and Plantation Lakes, things like that. So to be able to do that, or as it stands, it really would be cost prohibitive for us to do that if we're expected to pay $25, $50 a day to be there. We don't have any problem with a higher fee license, but we would like it one that we could stay there year round if we, so choose. Now, again, me personally, I don't know that that's the fit for our trailer. We do take ours everywhere, all over the county, from vineyards to neighborhoods to concerts in the park, things like that. So having it sit still in one location, that might be a 6-month thing during the winter when it's slow for us. And then the summertime, we're crazy everywhere. So by getting a year-round one fee license where we have to provide our insurance and we have to provide our health department license and our business license, that would be great if we could come up with something along those lines. And to your point earlier about the special events, maybe you even take the trucks that are licensed with you, and that's kind of your preferred vendors that you do that way. And again, it's a situation where if I'm over at Preston all the time, I probably couldn't pull it off the lot to go over to an event, but there's lots of food trucks that could, that way. And I just think that coming up with a year-round one would make life better for, everybody, especially in this. So thank you very much for your time. And Scott's got the second best food truck. So he's gonna come up and come on, say anything.
My name's Scott Doto. My wife and I own Love Thai
Oh, really?
food truck. Just listening to everything, being in the business, we just celebrated 4 years, and we know the majority of the owners, because we work with them all the time. The ones that I've spoken to, none of them, other than, Bill setting up with the Preston Group, are looking to do something on a permanent basis. We're in Oak Orchard. We pay rent there. That's our commissary and everything else. We're looking more at, say, Lowe's is doing their spring sales, coming in and being able to set up there for a day. Most of the vendors I know, we're already booking for next summer. We've got dates booked out through October of 2026 with some venues, because like this year we'll do close to 200 bookings in about 9 months. We're moving every day, other than when we're in Oak Orchard in the morning and we do events at night. We're more than happy with paying a one-time fee. A lot of towns like Millville, if we're doing a development down in Millville, we pull the town, we have a town license, and then we pay a special permit because it's not a sanctioned Millville event. The Mingos, the trivia nights, the First Responders Day, the concerts at the park at Evans Park, those are sanctioned by the town of Millville. So we don't actually have to pull a special permit. We don't pay anything to go there. We're just one of their preferred vendors. But like I was saying, we're looking more at Lowe's, like you're saying, commercial. Lowe's says, hey, can you come in We want you guys, you know, here we got this special event. The traffic on 13 is great, but I don't know if it would support multiple trucks all the time. I mean, the first question we ask when we get asked to an event, number one, what's the cost to get in, if anything? Number two, how many trucks do you have? The event they just had down in Rehoboth, they had 33 trucks.
Wow.
Somebody says that and says, are you going? I'm not interested. If you have 400 people at an event, roughly 60% are gonna eat, part of it is gonna buy appetizers. If you want 5 trucks, you better have 3,000 or 4,000 people coming. Or, you know, and Bill could tell you, we're not gonna go. We're busy enough that, and have gained experience over the 4 years that we know, you know, it's not gonna be worth our while. We live in Plantation Lakes. I've lived in Plantation Lakes since 2013. We opened a business in 21. We'd love to support the town. And we'd love to do more in the town, but there isn't a whole lot of stuff available for us in town. And even during, you know, say a Sunday in the fall, we want to set up at Lowe's or we want to set up here or there. We don't, because we know what the town code is, because we're very diligent in making sure all our ducks in a row. The last thing I want is a problem with Millsboro, with Millville, with anywhere, because that's our full-time job. We both had corporate jobs before this. And when we open up the truck, this is our bread and butter. So we make sure that we follow the rules, we follow the regulations.
Debbie's always said you guys have been good to work with.
Yeah.
As
You
long
know,
as-
you guys tell
yeah.
us what we need. If it requires a background check, you know, we're good to go on that. A one-time, you know, fee. And then I know what Greenwood does because we operate over there. They don't allow anybody to just come in and set up, like you were saying, they got a plot of land and just set up and operate there because it's their buddy for a year. They're allowed, I think, if I remember correctly, it's like 3 consecutive days and then they have to be gone for so long. And then you could write something like that in the code maybe. But like I was saying, most trucks are looking at, you know, as busy as we are, it'd be nice to be over here once a month, maybe twice a month on, you know, during a weekday, set up at Lowe's, set up at one of the other businesses. As far as in town and like the ball fields and stuff, I don't know if trucks would even get enough business over there because you don't have the
Traffic.
line of sight over there. I know a lot of the events we do in the other towns around the county, it brings a lot of business in, especially if you have trucks that are well known, like Love Tie, Tipsy Flamingo, Messy's Barbecue, is Millsboro. When I talked to Marvin, he was saying that he'll do lunch once in a while for BJ's as a special event. And they'd love for him to be there. He said, I don't have, you know, Suburban Propane supplies us with our propane. They want us to come over they've asked us to come over on some Thursdays because it's $5 fill up on your gas tanks. And we told them we can't. And they don't understand why. I said, you guys are within corporate limits of Millsboro. I can't, you know, take a chance on going there and working for you guys. And then compliance comes up and then I'm in trouble. Then I got a bad reputation with the town where I live. But, you know, I look forward to the next meeting. I appreciate you guys sitting here and listening to us. But we definitely be interested in, like I was saying, requires background check, do what we have to do. A yearly fee. Delmar charges 75 for a town license. Other towns charge, you know, a couple hundred or whatever, but if it was to where I didn't have to pull a permit every time I wanted to go to town, and the fee was, I don't know, 250, 300 or whatever for the year, we'd be more willing to do that because they're gonna pay back in the long run.
I want to say something. Thank you both for speaking. It gives us a different perspective. Instead of us constantly worrying about the business, I now realize the business is trying to get more customers to their doorstep and you actually enhance that. You know, which I definitely think it's a win-win.
Yeah, and we all carry commercial insurance on our vehicles. We're required to. state inspected, you know, just like restaurants, you know, you pop up and, hey, I need to check your temperatures, all that. You all carry liability insurance. On the vehicles and then for public in case something happens, there's a fire in the trailer, God forbid, anything like that, because majority of the developments, being they have these pretty nice community centers, require us to carry them as a COI when we're in the development of make sure if there's a problem that they're covered.
Want to run a farmer's market?
Yeah. I was gonna say.
One quick thing I would say on the fee, I don't know that I would change what you currently do. But just add a yearly one, because you're gonna have a lot of people that maybe don't wanna pay $250, $300 because they're only gonna do 1 or 2 events a year here.
Or maybe covered under the business license, you know. Delmar $75, other ones were paying, I think, 100, when we operated Lewis Brewing, it was $198, and it's gone up in the last 2 years, but it allows us, like when we were at Lewis, we could operate there whenever we were booked with them. And they had a requirement, I don't know if they still do or not, they would give Lewis a list. These are our preferred vendors, these are roughly the times they'll be there, that way if compliance drove by, they would know, hey, Tipsy's there, you know, they'll ties there, whoever. So everybody's up on the up and everybody knows what's going on as far as each show.
And the only reason I was through that interjection, it was just because I don't think you don't lose any business, because like, hey, it's costing me, what is it now, 25 or 50? 50 per event, something like that.
For a 1-day license.
Yeah, so if you have somebody that's only gonna come in, you know, a couple times, they might look at $300 license as, you know, I'm just not gonna do those 2 events this year in Millsboro. So don't lose that money, you know, keep it, just maybe add.
Do a 1 day,
No,
keep
a-
that the
a
same,
year
and then
round.
up to 365 days for.
I know Matt's right.
Yeah.
Mike's writing down all these suggestions and
Yeah.
feeding it back to Devin. They're excellent suggestions, and thank you.
And what usually ends up happening, like take Baker's, for example, when we do a couple times a year there, they come in and pay that fee and do all that. So, you know, I just, so what you guys are doing is great, and we, you know, we love it here. But being able to do it year round, not have to necessarily go through that process every time. We can kind of do like a one shot. Here's my insurance, here's my health department license, here's my Delaware business license, things like that. You know, it'd be just that much nicer.
So I'm glad you asked to speak up.
Actually, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
So thank you guys.
Question for you guys. And Jamie had recommended maybe at least initially limit it to highway commercial. How do you guys feel about that?
I think that's smart. I feel like you could have some trucks maybe try to take advantage of it where you go downtown and you're taking up a couple parking spots. And me, I'd take up 4, and then try to, you know, open up. And that's why Rehoboth does not have food trucks in their city limits, unless they want them, of course, and then, you know, they can have them. But, and, you know, I have a little bone of contention with Rehoboth there. VFW, which is in downtown Rehoboth, asked us to set up there, and they're my commissary. I do a lot. I give them food every week at no charge. And they wanted us to set up on their property in downtown Rehoboth on the days that they were closed, and we would then donate part of our proceeds to the VFW. And Rehoboth's like, no, well, what I was told was go across the bridge and do it there. And that was the exact words. Now that the new town manager, who I think's a good guy, but man, he's got some publicity. He said that he would be willing to sit down and talk with that. And, you know, at this point, kind of for us, that ship sailed, but I think that you guys having this meeting and listening to us is wonderful, and we really appreciate it, no matter what the outcome of the meeting is.
You don't
So,
see any other areas of town that would be really beneficial
what's that?
as far as site wise, other than highway commercial, you don't see anything else that,
Not really, because I mean, if they were to go through and make it anywhere. I think some food trucks would take advantage and start showing up in, developments and, I mean. The Edgeway and Plantation Lakes are pretty strict about stuff. But you get some other places that they just set up on a side street, they set up on the side of Delaware Avenue or something like that. It allows. People who want to game the system, for lack of a better term.
Right.
To do whatever they want, and then compliance comes along and says, yeah, I got my permit. What are you gonna, what are you gonna do? I mean, if you do. Commercial, I mean. Setting up in an area, number one. For site, you're gonna want commercial. I mean, to pull the trailer. Between fuel, labor, everything else, it's not cheap. I mean, it's everything. So we've had people make the comment when I retire on a food truck, it looks like fun.
Yeah,
I was a
we always warn those people.
I was a production manager in poultry for 27 years, 15 with Allen's and 12 with Bound Air. I worked as many, if not more hours. On the truck, and I had 200 and some employees reporting to me. Because it's a labor of love, and it's how I make a living, my wife and I. Setting it up commercially, you'll get the site. If you let them go anywhere, I mean, we've been doing it long enough, and Bill also. If you park down some little side street to do, you're not gonna do any business.
And a
But
safety issue.
commercial, that way it keeps it all on the up and up, get your. Your line of sight for customers. We sure do as the same, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have.
Any reputable food truck is doing it in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
exactly, out in the open where, The health department. Can come on our trucks, whether I'm on Millsboro set up at Lowe's or I'm in my normal location, they just pull up, show the badge and say, hey, I'm coming in, want to do an inspection real quick. If you're off this site, and I'm not trying to put down any owners, I've seen some of the trucks, and it's just one of those, okay, yeah. But doing it commercially, and it'll bring more
Customers.
business into
Yes.
the businesses that are around.
Yeah.
A month before last, we're a small company, it's my wife and I and a couple hourly employees that work for us part-time when we do events. When we're in Oak Orchard, it's just my wife and I, and we just handle whatever volume we have. The month before last, we had 28,000 views on our website. And that's for just a small truck that's been around for 4 years. When we do events, on Bill Days events, we get comments all the time from town managers, from event holders, that we are the premier vendors. It's us, it's Tipsy, it's Messie's. They call us, we have places that are booked us, like I said, through October of 2026 already. Because they know we have a good reputation, who has a great reputation, Messie's has a great reputation. It's gonna bring people in and bring more revenue to the town also. Because, hey, love ties at Lowe's today. Hey, I want to go down there until tomorrow, but I'll go over there today, I'll get some lunch. I'll do some shopping while I'm here, the kids wanna go over to the new ice cream place and get some ice cream after we did Thai food.
And somebody over here mentioned where if there's a restaurant in the center, and most of those situations work themselves out. Because there's not, the hardware store in the corner isn't gonna ask for us to come in and piss off, the restaurant
neighbor.
2 doors down. It's just not gonna happen. And most facilities like that have provisions in their lease. Like if I'm a restaurant, I have a provision in my lease that says you're not gonna bring other restaurants or other food trucks in my area. And if they do, then it's an issue that I take up with my landlord, kind of thing. So those sort of things work it out. So I think exactly what you said is spot on. That's the best way, I think, to, to do that way.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So, again, thank you all very much for listening to us ramble on.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Scott and his wife do a fantastic job. Heidi, my wife, like, this is what we do, since we both retired. For whatever reason, that's what we decided was gonna be the best way to go.
Bringing samples with you?
Very good.
Yeah, that's the one thing we didn't do. Bring samples, but next meeting we.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Just so we can plan.
I'm really
Is
scheduled for
is
it.
your email on the, did you write your email on the sign-in sheet? By chance?
Yeah, and someone emailed me about this meeting already. I had,
Probably Debbie.
okay.
Debbie
yeah,
was
I
working,
did.
yes. I'll get your email from Debbie. And then when the next one is set up, I can email you. And then if you want to write your email
Do you-
down.
Do you have, and the reason I ask is with Preston in particular, they've opened the new Ford dealership and the new Lincoln dealership, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep and Ram, Hyundai, they have them all. Anyway, they want us there sooner than later. Now, if they do a grand opening, for example, I will still go through the normal process, that we would do for a daily thing. But they would like us there. And what I'll say, I typically book through October and then we sort of need a break because our summers are just like Scott said, they're just nonstop. But the winter time for, food trucks, as you can imagine, drops dramatically. So to be able to have, something like Preston where we're there on a daily basis, at any given point, they'll have 75 to 100 employees. And again, like what I said earlier, the people getting service, the people buying cars, the traffic right there on 113. So it would be, good for us. And we're also about, paying a fair thing. So I don't want it to be like too crazy, but we do understand that the town that supports us, we want to support them, as well. So,
Thank
all
you.
right. So point of that story is, as soon as we can find out, that would be great.
What-
They want us in there like yesterday.
What I'll do is I'll add you, we have a notification sign up list. We have a notification sign up list, so I'll add you to that. And then
Okay.
when the notice goes out, you'll just automatically
you.
get it with the
Thank you.
regular group.
Yeah, and I'm certain it was, you said her name,
Debbie,
Debbie, that
yeah.
had reached
Yeah.
out, so. It's
Okay.
probably the only Tipsy Flamingo email out there.
Okay, I'll add you to the notification list. as well.
First meeting, myself and Messi's, because I guess it was Channel 47.
Yeah.
Actually came down to our trailer. It was a Monday, I guess. And we're looking for us and we're closed on Mondays. We were in Wilmington. I was in Wilmington shopping for the business. He's like, "Oh, you guys are good. I have a meeting, tonight or the next night, whatever it was at town hall about food trucks coming into town." Like, we didn't have any idea that they were even discussing anything, so.
Yeah, we'll make sure you're
Add it to
notified
the
about the
notification.
next meeting.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, folks. All right, is there anything else that, oh, I'm sorry.
Sure. If we're only gonna add highway, like commercial to it.
Highway commercial zoning.
Yeah, do we, and have an annual fee, do we need to write
Mhm.
we do, okay.
The code would have to be changed.
You like
for
that
the-
code to support what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Makes it easier. Yeah, sure.
Excuse-
Okay.
One that's not gray.
Right.
Yeah.
Black and white,
Yeah.
yes. Gray
Sounds
code is
good.
not good.
All right.
Excellent. Well, appreciate this guy speaking. Gives a whole new look on. it.
Yeah.
Are there any other sections of the town code and charter that make recommendations for possible revisions at this particular time? I know we've talked about a lot of stuff, but Marty, you got anything?
Question, maybe Mark can answer them, or Jamie, the chicken orders, we'd let that simmer?
That's on the November 3rd
Oh,
agenda.
It's on the November agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, it is on the,
Mhm.
okay, what does it look like?
Well, we're
I
still,
can send it out to you.
yeah, we'll send
We
it out
have
to you.
it.
We're still live and
And the RPC, I was hoping ACOM would be here today, but we had talked about reduction in lot sizes for the RPC designation
Mhm.
or increasing the lot sizes. Where we at on that? Is Mary working on that or?
That's on the, we have that that's on the November agenda as well.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
And Mark,
Yeah.
I don't think we needed to do anything with this, but the topsoil requirement,
It's on the agenda as well.
oh, it's on the agenda. I thought
Right.
we didn't need to do anything with that.
We are clarifying language. There's some language in it that some contractors, if they wanted to try to fight the verbiage as it's currently written, say they take out like fill dirt. Could just bring back whatever. It wouldn't have to be topsoil. So it's just clarified that no matter what they take out, they have to bring back topsoil. So it's just clarifying, so they can't try to get around the system at all.
So right now today, it's not being enforced.
Not at this moment,
Okay.
not until it's,
November 4th.
Yeah.
Because I think the amount of topsoil was already in there.
6
right?
inches.
Yes,
Yeah.
6 inches or whatever it was. Okay.
And then for the RPC, this is going to be voting on a resolution to schedule a public hearing for December, to actually vote on the ordinance in December.
Gotcha.
I have a question. The chapter 70 amendments and changes, is that on the agenda?
Design standards,
Mhm.
that one is not on there.
Okay.
I'll double check with Mary. She has not sent that draft ordinance back over
Okay.
yet with all the amendments. So I'll double check with her on that.
Thank you, Mark.
Is it?
Okay, thank you.
Um,
If there is nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion so carried. Thank you very much, everybody.